Hello, I'm Bob Schieffer, and welcome to the CBS Evening News online edition. Just ahead, President Bush welcomes China's president to the White House, but not everyone was happy to see him. Jim Axelrod will have details. Also, the Green Berets mission in Iraq. Lara Logan with the Special Forces tonight. It's an exclusive look. And the 911 problem, if you use a cell phone during an emergency, will help arrive in time. It's all starting now on the CBS Evening News online edition. China's president came to see President Bush today, but this was not the best day the White House ever had. First, a government announcer introduced China's national anthem by calling it the national anthem of the Republic of China. In fact, the Republic of China is the formal name of the island of Taiwan, which claims to be an independent nation, a claim that China fiercely disputes. Then a heckler got into the White House grounds and caused a commotion, and finally, when the two presidents sat down together, it does not appear they got much done. Here's Jim Axelrod.
The high pomp and pageantry of the U.S. welcome for China's president masked the wariness that still marks the relationship. What the president said diplomatically:
"We will address our differences in a spirit of mutual respect."
An aide put more plainly to CBS News, quote, "We have substantial issues with the regime." Still, Mr. Bush was extending a pat-on-the-back welcome when a protester greeted China's president more dramatically.
President Bush! Stop him! I'll kill him!
A 47-year-old American named Wenyi Wang, a New York doctor, supporter of the Falun Gong religious movement, as well as a journalist with a legitimate press credential, screamed for 2 uncomfortable minutes about the lack of religious freedom in China as President Hu spoke. She was arrested, and President Bush later expressed his regret to the Chinese leader. Mr. Bush and Mr. Hu had a lot to go over in their 3 hours together: human rights, Taiwan, and a huge trade imbalance. But all took a back seat to nuclear threats, Iran and North Korea.
China is an important voice in international affairs.
China's a permanent member of the UN Security Council. That means it can veto any U.S. plans for sanctions on Iran for its nuclear ambitions. One reason China is hesitant to come down too hard is 13% of its oil comes from Iran, and China needs to keep the flow uninterrupted to feed its booming economy.
Basically, Iran is a member of President Bush's axis of evil, not President Hu's. So China and the U.S. just may have very different ideas at the end of the day about how Iran needs to be pressured, a potential gap too big to be bridged at one half-day summit, Bob.
Jim, back to that heckler. The Chinese don't see their officials heckle very much. How will that play back in China?
How will it play? It won't play. State TV didn't run the demonstration through several international feeds, but they go through a monitoring station. They were blacked out. In fact, Bob, the BBC's report about the censoring, it was censored.
Okay, well, thank you very much. The political logjam that has blocked formation of a unity government in Iraq may have finally broken today. The prime minister, a Shiite opposed by Sunnis and Kurds, finally gave up his bid for a new term. As the Iraqis have continued to wrangle over forming a government, the price the United States is paying for the war just keeps going up. At least 2,374 American servicemen and women have now been killed, and in a new study, a Washington think tank reports U.S. military spending on the war has skyrocketed. The report estimates the cost this year at $94 billion. That is nearly twice what it was the year the United States invaded Iraq. Our chief foreign correspondent, Lara Logan, has been reporting from the front lines in Iraq this week, and tonight she is with the Special Forces.
They are Iraq's Green Berets in training. And the Special Forces instructors taking them through their paces are all Iraqi. That's a long way from where they were nearly 3 years ago when this elite unit was first formed by American Green Berets.
Their learning curve is very dramatic. They pick it up very quick because, their lives are on the line.
This Special Forces commander, whose name we can't give you for security reasons, has spent more time in Iraq since the U.S. invasion than he has at home.
There are very frustrating days. On those days, you have to say to yourself, I love it because if I just liked it, I would quit.
Quitting is still an option for these new recruits on the Special Forces selection course. It's day 5, and of the 400 who signed up, 121 have already dropped out. The day after these pictures were taken, one of these recruits would end up in detention after they discovered he's a member of a militia that's been targeting the Special Force commandos.
When they go home for leave, if they're not secret enough, or if they keep it close hold and the wrong people found out, you know, they can be shot on the street, they can be kidnapped, tortured, mutilated.
That's why we can't show you the faces of the Iraqi instructors or the recruits. It takes a lot for these recruits just to show up for this selection course, because they know the Iraqi Special Forces are a prime target for the insurgents and some militia groups. Even those recruits who don't make it through the course are putting their lives at risk, because they have to return to their communities where any association with the Iraqi Special Operations Forces is enough to get them and their families killed. This 23-year-old Iraqi sergeant major has already paid a high price. After a series of threats, his father was gunned down by insurgents.
That's a big sacrifice to make for your country.
As long as they're killing our families, we have to fight back, he told me.
Is it worth it?
Of course. The main issue now, the Americans say, is not the skill of these soldiers, it's the Iraqi government's ability to sustain and supply them. On night raids like this one, it's still American choppers carrying the Iraqi Special Forces to their target. Their mission here was to find the remains of an American pilot who was shot down the week before. They found 3 of the men they say were involved in the attack, but not the remains. Yet both the American and the Iraqi soldiers said they'd keep looking for as long as it takes. A sign, this Green Beret says, of the close bond they now share.
I love them. They really want to make a difference in their country. I trust one of them just like I trust my own guys.
With no sign that the fight in Iraq is fading, that trust will be tested again and again. Lara Logan, CBS News, Baghdad.
One reason so many of us carry cell phones is to call for help in an emergency, but it doesn't do much good if we call 911 and the police can't find us. Congress authorized spending $250 million a year for what is called Enhanced 911, but so far it has not actually come up with the money. And that is one reason help may not be on the way. Here's Mika Brzezinski.
I don't know where he's bleeding from.
This frantic caller had just witnessed a drive-by shooting.
I'm scared that they're going to come back. And I don't know where he's from.
But she was on a cell phone.
I'm at Mulligan.
The address for Mulligan.
I don't know the address.
And that made it nearly impossible for Cincinnati 911 operator Jeff Bradley to send help.
Location is the most important piece of information. And not knowing their location, it's like trying to drive in the dark with no headlights.
1042 copy.
And it's not just Cincinnati. 911 centers around the country are driving blind.
Cincinnati 911, where's your emergency?
Unable to identify cell phone callers' locations because they haven't upgraded their call tracking technology. Here's how it's supposed to work. When someone dials 911 on a cell phone, satellites pick up and relay the data to the nearest 911 call center, where computers display the caller's location within about a city block's margin of error. But if that call came on an old cell phone, or if the 911 center doesn't have the technology upgrade, all bets are off.
Well, our 911 system is stuck in the 20th century.
Since the attacks of 9/11, New York Senator Hillary Clinton has worked to get the entire country's 911 system up to par. But still, more than 40% of the country's call centers, known as PSAPs, are poorly equipped.
If there were another terrorist attack right now, would we be in the same situation we were in 9/11?
Well, it would depend upon what cell phone you used, what part of the country you were in, whether the PSAP answering your call had the capacity to locate you.
A congressional study just out found that at least 4 states collected the money to fix the problem through phone bill surcharges, but instead spent it elsewhere.
We can play games on these phones. We can send pictures to people, but we can't be located if we call 911.
I know.
Ma'am, did you hear what I said? If I don't find out where you are, I can't get you any help.
It took almost 2 minutes, but Jeff Bradley, who was fighting his own battle with cancer at the time and who lost that fight shortly after talking to CBS News, figured out where the caller was.
Well, I looked it up in the phone book, in the white pages.
So you were flipping through the phone book.
Flipped through the phone book, yes.
It's impossible to know whether that extra time would have made a difference. The gunshot victim did make it to the hospital, but he died soon after. Mika Brzezinski, CBS News, Cincinnati.
More stories are just a click away, but don't forget to join me on television for the on-air edition of the CBS Evening News. On Friday's broadcast, A Profile in Courage. You'll meet a woman who has been a teacher for 69 years. She's your pick for this week's Assignment America. For CBSNews.com, I'm Bob Schieffer.